Welcome back to my series, Rooted in Rome, where I'm giving you the cultural, historical, and political context that has been taken out of the Christianity story. This is episode 11, and this is part 3. We left off with me giving you the messages that white congregants received in their southern churches by white pastors. Let's go. All right, we're going to start with message number 7 of what white congregants received in their church. And then I have message number 8, and then we will move on to the next part of this episode. Message number 7 is, be a kind Christian master, but stay in control. White pastors told slave owners, yes, you have the God-given right to own slaves, but you must treat them kindly as a Christian master should. This served two purposes. Number 1, it eased guilt. You're not doing anything wrong as long as you're kind. And number 2, this created the illusion of moral accountability. Bad masters abuse their slaves, but you're a good Christian master. And here is what Christian treatment meant. You provide adequate food, clothing, and shelter. You don't separate families unnecessarily, but economic necessity always comes first. You allow slaves to attend church and receive Christian instruction. You don't punish excessively, but corporal punishment was expected and endorsed. You treat slaves humanely within the bounds of their station. And here are the scriptures they used. Ephesians 6 and 9. And masters, treat your slaves in the same way. Do not threaten them, since you know that he who is both their master and yours is in heaven, and there is no favoritism with him. Colossians 4 and 1. Masters, provide your slaves with what is right and fair, because you know that you also have a master in heaven. The message was that God has given you authority over your slaves. Use it responsibly, be benevolent, provide for them, Christianize them, and discipline them when necessary. But remember, God will judge you for how you treat your property. Here is an actual sermon quote from Reverend William Meade, an Episcopal bishop of Virginia in 1834, a sermon to masters. Remember, you must give account to God for the souls placed under your care. Notice what he's saying. Not free them, not slavery is wrong, but you're accountable for their souls while they're your property. Next, we have message number 8. This is, emancipation would lead to chaos and race war. White pastors warned white congregations that freeing enslaved people would result in catastrophe. The fears that they stoked was number 1, economic collapse. Our economy depends on slavery. Without it, the South will be ruined. Number 2, Black people are incapable of self-governance. They need our guidance. Without it, they'll descend into barbarianism. Number 3, freed Black people will seek revenge. If we free them, they'll rise up and slaughter us. They'll burn our homes and grape our women. Number 4, race mixing and the degradation of the white race. Emancipation will lead to interracial marriage and the destruction of white civilization. The following is an actual sermon quote from Reverend Benjamin Morgan Palmer, a Presbyterian minister in New Orleans, Thanksgiving Day sermon, 1860. The abolition of Negro slavery would be the signal for the wildest social disorders, for the extirpation of the white race, and for the relapse of the Negro into barbarism. After Nat Turner's rebellion in 1831, when an enslaved preacher led a rebellion that killed around 60 white people, white pastors used this to reinforce the fear. See, this is what happens when you educate slaves and allow them to preach. They become dangerous. Stricter control is necessary. So the message was, slavery protects us. Freedom would destroy us all, white and black alike. Let me synthesize what white slave owners were hearing in church every single Sunday. Number 1, you are righteous. Slavery is biblical, ordained by God. Number 2, you are benevolent. you're Christianizing Africans and saving souls. Number 3, you are stewards. God gave you authority over an inferior race. Number 4, you are victims. Abolitionists are godless heretics attacking you. Number 5, you are justified. Any guilt you feel is misplaced. Number 6, you must be kind. Treat your slaves well, but maintain control. Number 7, you must resist abolition. Freeing slaves violates God's will and leads to chaos. This was the complete theological system. It made slavery not just permissible, but holy. It made slave owners feel righteous. It silenced dissent, and it created a Christian culture where owning human beings was normal, moral, and godly. Now let me show you what these same pastors, or pastors like them, preach to enslaved people. Now we get to the other side of the system. On Sunday mornings, white pastors stood in front of white churches and told slave owners that they were righteous. And on Sunday afternoons, or in segregated plantation churches, those same pastors or traveling missionaries sent to plantations stood before enslaved people. And they preached a completely different message. Not, you are righteous, but you are cursed, inferior, and must obey. And let me show you what enslaved people were taught. First, understand how this worked logistically, where enslaved people worshiped. Number 1, they had plantation churches. Small churches were built on plantations specifically for enslaved people. Number 2, they had the Negro Gallery. It was segregated balconies in white churches where enslaved people sat, usually in the back or sides. And number 3, they had outdoor services. Enslaved people gathered outside while a white preacher or an approved enslaved preacher spoke. So, who preached to them? Well, number 1, you had your white pastors, so either the plantation owner's pastor or traveling missionaries. And number 2, you had approved enslaved preachers, enslaved men who were carefully vetted and controlled, and they could only preach approved messages. Now, here is what they were not allowed to do. They could not worship without white supervision, could not preach without white approval, could not read the Bible for themselves because literacy was illegal. They could not gather in groups without a white person present, and they couldn't practice African spiritual traditions. Everything was controlled. So now let's talk about the sermons that they heard. This is message number 1. God made you slaves, accept your station. This is an actual sermon quote from Reverend William Meade, Episcopal Bishop of Virginia, 1834, sermon to enslaved people. Almighty God hath been pleased to make you slaves here, and to give you nothing but labor and poverty in this world, which you are obliged to submit to, as it is his will that it should be so. So again, he said, God had been pleased to make you slaves. Not slavery is wrong, but we're trapped in it. But God is pleased that you are enslaved, right? He continued, your bodies, are not your own. They are at the disposal of those you belong to. Again, your bodies are not your own. That's what they were told in church by a bishop. All right, I'm going to stop here. And in the next video, I'm going to continue talking about the messages that those who were enslaved heard in their Sunday sermons on those plantations. Thanks for watching.